Well, I just sniffed. I just sniffed. I sniffed. I just sniffed. Go to the bathroom. That was funny. Oh. Oh, he sniffed. Wow. I just sniffed. I just sniffed. I just sniffed. Sniffy. A personality trait of people who demonstrate a strong motivation to achieve their own goals at the expense of others, who believe that deceit is a natural and acceptable way to achieve their goals, who take pleasure in outwitting and misleading others using crude influence tactics, and who have a cynical disregard for morality. Sniffy. I just sniffed. Provide sufficient resources. Sniffy. Sniffed. Okay. It didn't take that long to get through it. That's funny. Because I got to skip some of it. That was funny. Anyways, time for chapter summary. Describe the dependence model of power and the 5 sources of power in organizations. Power is the capacity to influence others. It exists when one party perceives that he or she is dependent on the other for something of value. However, the dependent person must also have countervailing power, some power over the dominant party, to maintain the relationship, and the parties must have some level of trust. I sniffed. There are 5 power bases. Legitimate power is an agreement among organizational members that people in certain roles can request certain behaviors of others. This power has restrictions represented by the target person's zone of indifference. It also includes the norm of reciprocity, a feeling of obligation to help someone who has helped you, as well as control over the flow of information to others. Reward power is derived from reward power is derived from the ability to control the allocation of rewards valued by others and to remove negative sanctions. Coercive power is the ability to apply punishment. Expert power is the capacity to influence others by possessing knowledge or skills that they value. An important form of expert power is the perceived ability to manage uncertainties in the business environment. People have referent power when others identify with them, like them, or otherwise respect them. Discuss the 4 contingencies of power. Four contingencies determine whether these power bases translate into real power. Individuals and work units are more powerful when they are non-substitutable. Employees, work units, and organizations reduce substitutability by controlling tasks, knowledge, and labor, by differentiating themselves from competitors, and by developing a personal brand, a unique combination of knowledge, skills, and experience that are valuable to current or prospective employers. A second contingency is centrality. People have more power when they have high centrality, which means that many people are quickly affected by their actions. The third contingency, visibility, refers to the idea that power increases to the extent that a person's or work unit's competencies are known to others. Discretion. The fourth contingency of power refers to the freedom to exercise judgment. Power increases when people have the freedom to use their power. Explain how people work units gain power through social networks. Social networks are social structures of individuals or social units, e.g., departments, organizations that connect to one another through one or more forms of interdependence. People receive power in social networks through social capital, which is the goodwill and resulting resources shared among members in a social network. Three main resources from social networks. Sniffy. Three main resources from social networks. Hi, Sniffy. Three main resources from social networks. Sniffy. Are information, visibility, and referent power. Employees gain social capital through their relationship in the social network. Social capital tends to increase with the number of network ties. Strong ties, close-knit relationships can also increase social capital because these connections offer more resources more quickly. However, having weak ties with people from diverse networks can be more valuable than having strong ties with people in similar networks. Weak ties provide more resources that we do not already possess. Another influence on social capital is the person's centrality in the network. Network centrality is determined in several ways, including the extent to which you are located between others in the network, how many direct ties you have, and the closeness of these ties. People also gain power by bridging structural holes linking two or more clusters of people in a network. Describe 8 types of influence tactics, 3 consequences of influencing others, and 3 contingencies to consider when choosing an influence tactic. Influence refers to any behavior Influence refers to any behavior that attempts to alter someone's attitudes or behavior. The most widely studied influence tactics are silent authority, assertiveness, information control, correlation formation, upward appeal, impression management, persuasion, and exchange. Soft influence tactics such as friendly persuasion and subtle ingratiation are more acceptable than hard tactics such as upward appeal and assertiveness. However, the most appropriate influence tactic also depends on the influencer's power base, whether the person being influenced is higher, lower, or at the same level in the organization. In personal, organizational, and cultural values regarding influence behavior. Identify the organizational conditions. Sniffy. and personal characteristics. We identify the organizational conditions and personal characteristics associated with organizational politics, as well as ways to minimize organizational politics. Organizational politics refer to the use of influence tactics for personal gain at the perceived expense of others and the organization. It is more common when ambiguous decisions allocate scarce resources and when the organization tolerates or rewards political behavior. Individuals with a high need for personal power and a Machiavellian personality have a higher propensity to use political tactics. Organizational politics can be minimized by providing clear rules for resource allocation, establishing a free flow of information, using education and involvement during organizational change, supporting team norms, and a corporate culture that discourages political behavior, and having leaders who role model organizational citizenship rather than political savvy. I feel like I read a lot of this stuff already. Whoa, did I read the whole chapter already? I feel like I did read this. Why did I read the chapter? Wow, I definitely read through this whole chapter for some reason. For an assignment, probably. But I'll skim it over. I don't have to read the whole thing again. I can, because it was funny. I was going to let the dog out. That was funny. Have fun with music. Oh, I bet. So yeah, considering the fact that I think I've read most of chapter 11 already, I need to keep that in mind while I'm reading through the chapter because I don't want to waste time reading it again when I have to. So considering that, I'll probably be able to finish all the readings today. I was not expecting to be able to do that. 5 whole chapters read in one day. Although I'd already read some of the chapters, so it's not like I read the whole thing. Like I skipped part of chapter 9 because I had already read it. Oh, yeah. Wrote a whole freaking paper about, or not a whole freaking paper, did a whole freaking group project on whether conflict is good or bad. Benefits of conflict. Task conflict versus relationship conflict. I'll read it. Conflict process model. Incompatible goals, differentiation, differences among people and work units. Sniffy. I don't know if I read this part yet. Gosh dang it. Okay. That's funny. Watch as I fail the test because I didn't read through the whole thing again. Conflict, the process in which one party perceives that its interests are being opposed or negatively affected by another party. Task conflict, a type of conflict in which people focus their discussion around the issue, the task, in which different viewpoints occur while showing respect for people involved in that disagreement. Relationship conflict, a type of conflict in which people focus their discussion on qualities of the people in the dispute rather than on the qualities of the ideas presented regarding a task-related issue. Three conditions potentially minimize the level of relationship conflict during task conflict episodes: emotional intelligence, team development, norms supporting psychological safety. Psychological safety, a shared belief that it is safe to engage in interpersonal risk-taking, specifically that presenting unusual ideas, constructively disagreeing with the majority, and experimenting with new work behaviors will not result in coworkers posing a threat to their self-concept, status, or career. Win-win orientation, the belief that conflicting. Oh, dang it. I forgot. Why would I need to set the alarm? Because I already know. That was funny. Okay. Sniffy. I already know what those are. Okay, this is pointless. Define conflict and debate its positive and negative consequences in the workplace. Conflict is the process in which one party perceives that its interests are being opposed or negatively affected by another party. The earliest view of conflict was that it was dysfunctional for organizations. Even today, we recognize that conflict sometimes or to some degree consumes productive time, increases stress and job dissatisfaction, discourages coordination, and resource sharing, undermines customer service, fuels organizational politics, and undermines team cohesion. But conflict can also be beneficial. It is known to motivate more active thinking about problems and possible solutions, encourage more active monitoring of the organization and its environment, and improve team cohesion where the conflict source is external. Distinguish task conflict from relationship conflict, and describe 3 strategies. Sniffy. To minimize relationship conflict. During task conflict episodes. Task conflicts occurs when people focus their discussion around the issue while showing respect for people with other points of view. Relationship conflict exists Relationship conflict exists when people focus their discussion on qualities of the people in the dispute, that is, they view each other rather than the issue as the source of conflict. It is apparent when people attack each other's credibility, assert their superior status, and display aggression toward the other party. It is difficult to separate task from relationship conflict. However, 3 strategies or conditions that minimize relationship conflict. During constructive debate are emotional intelligence of the participants, team development, and norms that support psychological safety, a shared belief that it is safer to engage in interpersonal risk-taking. This diagram the conflict process model and describes 6 structural sources of conflict in organizations. The conflict process model begins with the 6 structural sources of conflict. Incompatible goals, differentiation, different values and beliefs, interdependence, scarce resources, ambiguous rules, and communication process problems. These sources lead one or more parties to perceive a conflict and to experience conflict emotions. This produces manifest conflict, such as behaviors toward the other side. The conflict process often escalates through a series of episodes. Outline the 5 conflict handling styles and discuss the circumstances in which each would be most appropriate. There are 5 known conflict handling styles: problem solving, forcing, avoiding, yielding, and compromising. People who use problem solving have a win-win orientation. others, particularly forcing. Assume a win-lose orientation. In general, people gravitate toward one or two preferred conflict handling styles that match their personality, personal and cultural values, and past experience. The best style depends on the situation. Problem solving is best when interests are not perfectly opposing. The parties must trust each other and the issues are complex. Forcing works best when the dispute requires quick action. Your position is logically and morally stronger, and the other party would take advantage of a cooperative style. Avoiding is preferred. When the conflict has become emotional, there is strong incentive to maintain harmony, or the cost of resolution outweighs the benefits. Yielding works well when their issue is less important to you, the value or logic of your position is less clear, the parties want to maintain harmony, and the other party has substantially more power. Compromising is preferred when there is a single issue, not complex. With opposing interests, the parties are under time pressure. They want to maintain harmony and they have equal power. Apply the 6 structural approaches to conflict management and describe the 3 types of third-party dispute resolution. Conflicts can be managed through 6 structural strategies. One of these is to increase the parties' commitment to superordinate goals that the conflicting employees or departments value and whose attainment requires the joint resources and effort of those parties. Another method is to reduce differentiation between the conflicting parties, such as by temporarily assigning employees to other work units, rotating employees across the organization throughout their career, and by building a strong organizational culture. A third method is to improve communication and mutual understanding. This can occur by designing workspaces such that diverse groups coincidentally mingle, engaging in seminars that apply Johari window principles across groups, and through intergroup mirroring interventions. Fourth, conflict can be minimized by reducing interdependence, such as by creating buffers, using integrators, or combining jobs. The final 2 structural approaches to conflict management involved increasing resources and clarifying rules and procedures. Third-party conflict resolution is any attempts by a relatively neutral person to help the parties resolve their differences. The 3 main forms of third-party dispute resolution are mediation, arbitration, and inquisition. Managers tend to use an inquisition approach, though mediation and arbitration often are more appropriate depending on the situation. Discuss activities in the negotiation preparation process and setting that improve negotiation effectiveness. Negotiation occurs whenever 2 or more conflicting parties attempts to resolve their divergent goals by redefining the terms of their interdependence. Distributive negotiation is most common when the parties have only one item to resolve, such as product price or starting salary. Integrative negotiation is more common when multiple issues are open for discussion. Effective negotiators engage in several preparation activities. These include determining their initial target and resistance positions, understanding their needs behind these goals, and knowing their alternatives to the negotiation. During the negotiation process, effective negotiators devote more attention to gathering than giving information. They try to determine the other party's underlying needs rather than just their stated positions. They make fewer and smaller concessions, but use concessions strategically to discover the other party's priorities. And to maintain trust, they try to avoid time traps, negotiating under deadlines set by the other side, and they engage in practices to maintain a positive relationship with the other party. Characteristics of the setting, including location, physical setting, and audience characteristics, are also important in successful negotiations. I read part of chapter 12, but not much of it. Bye.